Russia is celebrating Donald Trump's complete capitulation to Vladimir Putin. You have all the Russian propaganda outlets posting things like this. Donald Trump says there's no place for Zelensky in first Putin-Trump meeting. Trump added that he has not committed to visiting Ukraine. Meanwhile, on Russian state TV, their hosts are saying that Trump is basically just doing Moscow's job for them by ripping apart the Western world, whipsawing right through it the way Russia always wanted to do. The host said, "This is so amazing. We wanted to take a saw and destroy Canada and the European Union, and Donald Trump has taken it into his own hands to destroy America and all of America's alliances that were checking Russia." Let me just show you. I think it's important that you go to the source material. I want to give a special hat tip to Julia Davis. She runs Russian Monitor. She monitors all the Russian media, and it's an amazing resource that I use as well. So take a look at this. These are the hosts saying that Donald Trump's foreign policy is symbolized through his ridiculous signature that looks like a saw that is sawing through America's former allies. Play this clip.
The new head of the Pentagon attracts attention to the meeting in the Ramstein format. What is being discussed there if the Pentagon has already stated in advance that no new package of weapons will be provided to Ukraine? Not that there won't be one, but they certainly won't discuss it in Ramstein.
No wonder the Americans transferred the management, essentially the chairmanship of this meeting, to the United Kingdom. It's the first time this has been done, and the United Kingdom continues actually to arm Kyiv. Well, the chairman of the Munich Security Conference said that Europeans should think even further and prepare for the fact that they will have to lift sanctions, will have to restore relations with Russia, because the bet on continuing and prolonging this military conflict has not justified itself. And now, essentially, Europeans will be forced to drag this conflict on their own, as the Americans who came here said. Their goal is to essentially shift all of this onto the shoulders of Europe, since it is Europe's neighbor and Europe has to deal with it and either continue supporting Ukraine or decide what to do next. So for now, everyone is holding their breath, waiting for the Friday meeting in Munich. They will watch what Trump decides, and for now they will act within the same logic, waiting for the leader to speak and trying to manage somehow.
Well, indeed, from the current European, three threats stand out in terms of significance in the event block. Firstly, as accurately noted in the report, is Peter Hegseth's visit to Ramstein. Three no's, so to speak. Hegseth's no delivery yet to the American military in Ukraine. No meeting of Hegseth with the Ukrainian delegation, by the way, in Ramstein. And there is no prospect of this war escalation.
Now, from that same broadcast, let me show you the beginning of that interview where they also talk about how Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, it's crazy that I'm even saying that's his position, a former Fox host with literally no qualifications at all for that position, went to Germany for this Munich conference and basically said America will not be supporting Ukraine, will not be supporting Ukraine's ability to join NATO, and America will not be helping out Ukraine essentially in any way. Here, play the beginning of that interview. Let's play it.
To conclude, what is today the main symbol of American international policy is this. An insane, kind of amazing kilometer-long scribble by Trump, which is either a cardiogram report of a sick heart or it is a report. A different kind of kilometer-long one with these jagged jumping angles, like a saw. So Trump is sawing the Western world, a chunk that is Canadian, European. Let's see if he can, so to speak, not break himself with his saw. Essentially, he's eating our bread. We wanted to saw through the Western world, but he decided to saw it himself. Let's see if he breaks his teeth or not.
Amazing thing.
One of the notable things in Donald Trump's statements from yesterday is that he left out Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg from any discussions. Now, Keith Kellogg, go back to some of the videos that I did. Remember I said who was the first person that was going to go? I said Keith Kellogg, because He's a legitimate real general who takes tough stances on Russia. I was surprised that Donald Trump picked him to be the special envoy, but he was left out of any negotiations with Russia. Why? I'm willing to make a bet that Putin, in his discussion with Donald Trump, said, you have to sideline Kellogg. We're not going to speak to you if you have Kellogg involved at all. Just to remind you, this was Keith Kellogg from January, where he was talking about how he was working on a solution, but it was going to take about 100 days, not the 24 hours like Donald Trump promised. Let's play it.
So what we'll set the conditions for the president, and then he'll eventually get to a position where he'll be talking to President Putin and also President Zelensky as well. And I think they're going to come to a solvable solution in the near term. And when I say by the near term, you know, I would like to set a goal on a personal level and professional level. I would say let's set it at 100 days and move our way back and figure a way we can do this in the near term to make sure that this solution is solid, it's sustainable, and that this war ends and so that we stop the carnage. And I think that's going to be very, very important to do. It's going to be important for our national security. It's a part of our vital national interest, and it's also good for Europe as well, and the globe as well.
All right.
And by the way, let me just show you what Keith Kellogg said last year to Congress about the importance of supporting Ukraine. This is why, you know, all in all, if you wanted a special envoy, this is someone who you would think could be helpful to Ukraine a little bit. It's why Ukrainians felt, I guess, a little bit of hope because Keith Kellogg was there. Let me show you this clip. But Keith Kellogg basically fired at this point. I mean, not officially, but he was humiliated by Donald Trump by not including him in any of the discussions. Play the clip.
Thank you, Senator. Senator, I believe if you can defeat a strategic adversary not using any U.S. troops, you're at the acme of professionalism, because letting the Ukrainians defeat that, it takes a strategic adversary off the table, and then we can focus where we should be focusing against our primary adversary, which is China at this time. The concern I've got is I don't think we need to put American troops there, and if we fail in this, we may have to fight another European war. It'll be the third time. And I don't think we should do that or need to do that as well.
Worth reminding you what former Prime Minister of Australia, Malcolm Turnbull, had to say when he saw the way Donald Trump looked at Putin during the first Trump administration. Let's play it.
When you see Trump with Putin, as I have on a few occasions, he's like the 12-year-old boy that goes to high school and meets the captain of the football team. My hero. It is really creepy. It's really creepy. Now,
and that struck you at the time?
Oh, absolutely. It struck everybody. It was like you could touch it. It was creepy. The creepiness was palpable.
Are you trying to say they're having a bromance?
No, I'm not saying. I'm just telling you what I saw. Regrettably, the Republican Party under Donald Trump, and particularly the right wing of the Republican Party, are very sympathetic to Vladimir Putin. I mean, I've been with Trump and Putin. Trump is in awe of Putin. Tyrants are often popular. You see, the key to democracy, liberal democracy, is that it empowers the majority, but it also, through the rule of law, constrains the majority. And if you get to the point where anybody who can muster a majority, and I don't think Trump can do that, by the way, but anyone who can muster a majority is given absolute power and then can do whatever they like to the minority, that's not a democracy. That is a tyranny. That is an autocracy, even if it's got the support of 51% of the population. That is not what makes a democracy. A democracy, as we understand it, is one where the rule of law protects all citizens and the rule of law applies to all citizens, whether they're the president or the prime minister or an ordinary, elector.
And by the way, former Vice President Kamala Harris was so right when she said that Donald Trump would be rooted on by all of the dictators. Here, play this clip.
These dictators and autocrats are rooting for you to be president again because they're so clear they can manipulate you with flattery and favors. And that is why so many military leaders who you have worked with have told me you are a disgrace
Also, Russian TV was celebrating the fact that Tulsi Gabbard was confirmed by the spineless Republicans in the Senate. Russia essentially has an asset as the director of national intelligence now, so no other intelligence agencies will share anything anymore with the United States of America, knowing that America's entire intelligence apparatus is utterly compromised, as Josh Rogin explains. Also, in his first meeting with European leaders, Pete Hegseth unilaterally took NATO membership for Ukraine off the table and said Ukraine can't get all its lost territory back that was taken by Putin. Two major concessions to Russia for nothing in exchange. Not exactly the art of the deal. Ilya Pomerenko, who writes for the Kyiv Independent, says, so we're supposed to give up our national territory, vow never to join NATO no matter what Russian does to us, and also give Donald Trump our rare earth metals. That's a very interesting deal from an aggressor and a partner that was supposed to support us in exchange for us giving up our nuclear weapons, missile armaments, and strategic bomber fleet. Also, as Olga Lautman points out, on top of all the other gifts Donald Trump gave to Russia, he also disbanded the klepto-capture task force at the Department of Justice that dealt with the seizures of Russian assets and all the units monitoring the flooding of foreign money, bribery, and interference in U.S. elections. Olga also goes, I'm so angry how many supposed friends of Ukraine put false hope into Trump, praising him while whitewashing his allegiance to Russia and dictatorial plans for the U.S. The only result from all of this is putting Ukraine in more danger. This betrayal was predictable as the sun rising. The time since election should have been spent on plans to help Ukraine without the U.S. in the equation. Instead, many acted as if this was a normal administration. And she's then commenting on a lot of the stuff that Donald Trump is saying as well. And that Pete Hegseth is saying. Reminder, here's what Pete Hegseth said during his meeting in Germany, and here he talks about how Ukraine should not get its territory back and how Ukraine may never become a member of NATO. Let's play it.
We want, like you, a sovereign and prosperous Ukraine. But we must start by recognizing that returning to Ukraine's pre-2014 borders is an unrealistic objective. The United States does not believe that NATO membership for Ukraine is a realistic outcome of a negotiated settlement. Instead, any security guarantee must be backed by capable European and non-European troops.
And then, of course, this is what Donald Trump said in the Oval Office, that he does not view Ukraine as an equal member of the peace process. Let's play it.
Do you expect Ukraine?
Say it, what?
Do you view Ukraine as an equal member of this peace process?
It's an interesting question. I think they have to make peace. Their people are being killed, and I think they have to make peace.
We will continue to be
I said that was not a good war to go into, and I think they have to make peace. That's what I think.
So why did you decide to talk to
And by the way, a few weeks back, Vladimir Putin essentially said what was going to happen. Here's what Putin said just to remind you. Let's play it.
But I assure you, Trump, with his character, with his persistence, will restore order quite quickly. And all of them, you'll see, it will happen quickly. Soon they will all stand by the master's side and gently wag their tails.
Well, there you have it, folks. Russia is celebrating the destruction of the United States of America and Trump destroying all American allies. They know what's going on in Russia. It's just so disappointing that our spineless Republicans here in the United States, this is what they wanted. They wanted a stupid dictator who has destroyed America abroad and betrayed our allies. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 4 million. Thanks for watching.